In this video, I'm going to show you how this one property brought in a whopping £160,000. Now I want to start by saying I'm not making this video to brag or show off about these numbers, but I want to show people who are in property that this is a viable option and something that's definitely a little bit different. In a nutshell, this was an HMO property that I bought, renovated, and then started renting out the rooms on a short-term basis. But in reality, it's of course more complicated than this, so keep watching. I'm going to show you all the numbers, including the running costs and the profit. I'm going to give you the breakdown of each month's occupancy, nightly rate, and revenue, and I'm going to share the key lessons that I've learned along the journey and give my best advice if you want to try this yourself. And if you think you recognize this property, well then you probably saw it in one of the other videos that I've done showcasing it, but guess what? It just keeps on getting better and better. Stay tuned to see what I've done with the place. If you're new here, my name's Dave and I host over 15,000 guests across around 75 properties here in Belfast. And this channel exists to help you level up your serviced accommodation or Airbnb game. So the background of this property is, back I think it was in 2018 or so, business was booming. I don't know how many apartments that we had, but they were all apartments. They were in Belfast. Things were going really well. I kept noticing we were getting inquiry after inquiry from a solo traveller who was coming to work or be in the city for some reason, and they didn't have the budget for a full apartment. And we kept batting them away saying, no, you can't have anything for under £100 a night, but it just kept niggling away at me that I was potentially turning away business and that potentially there was another revenue stream here that we could add. And that's when I thought there potentially is an opportunity here to buy a property and start renting out rooms. Now this was a calculated decision, and I knew what I was doing, kind of. Now, when I showed my father-in-law around this property, he literally told me the words, do not buy this property, this is a terrible idea. But when do we ever listen to our father-in-laws? I had the vision and the optimism that if I bought this and turned it into rooms, it would work out. So I purchased the property for $187,500. This is what it looked like. It was in a sorry state. It was students that were living in it. The photos on the listing seemed quite nice, but whenever the actual key handover happened, they had absolutely trashed the place and it was a mess. So I knew there was 2 bathrooms that were quite big, and I knew if I put them together, I could make another bedroom. My plan was to put en-suites in every single room, so I didn't need those spare bathrooms. Also, because this was going to be like guest accommodation, I didn't really want a living room where people were going to congregate. I thought that was just a recipe for disaster, so that meant I was able to actually change the living room into another bedroom. I documented the whole journey in stories on my Instagram, so if you want to see that, go follow Central Belfast Apartments, but you can see a bit of it here. It was an absolute bomb site. There was so much work involved in the renovation. It was the biggest job I've ever done. I've never done one since then. I think I've got PTSD from it. But when the finished product was done, it looked amazing. And guess what? It did as well as I thought it was going to do. So I was making videos about this just in the run up to COVID. It was coming just before COVID, and then just after COVID, it was smashing it as well. I then made this video that was a long form talking about I had a full year by that stage. But we just kept tweaking things and improving things and adding in new systems, and it just honestly kept getting better and better. One of the biggest game changers that we had was when we connected our rate pricing software to it. Way back at the start, I didn't know what to charge for these rooms. Was it a hotel room? Was it a very small apartment? Was it a room in a hostel? I just didn't know, so I probably priced it far too low. Once I connected the rate pricing software to it and it took over, my God, things went astronomical. Now, since these last videos have been made, things have got so much better, and that's why this video is happening. So since then, we've got another renovation done on the property. You can see what it looks like now. It looks absolutely incredible. I've got some amazing people on my team who designed this and made it all happen, so kudos to them. And it's helped to generate record incomes. So let's take a look at the numbers. So in the last year, from 1st of April 2023 to 1st of April 2024, as I say, the total income was 160k. But in that year, this was the best month. June 2023 brought in almost £17,000. And when you look at that average nightly rate of £87, it doesn't seem that attractive. But when you multiply it by all those nights that were sold and see that it was 92% occupancy, it makes sense how that all adds up. Now, June was amazing. August was only a few pounds less than that. So I've put all the months together, all the incomes and the occupancy and the average nightly rate together. So let's take a look at that. Now, as you can see, I'm an Excel wizard with this beautiful artwork that I've created here, but it is what it is. My skill set is in different places, but the numbers are all here. So key things to look at here is you can see the split of the income of the revenue. It sort of goes in cyclical pattern. Now, Belfast is quite a seasonal place. A lot of people come here in the summer and demand dips down in the winter. However, the people who are coming to stay in this property aren't necessarily tourists. They come to work in different companies. They come to work in the universities that are nearby. I, so it's a very different demographic than the normal tourists or holiday makers. And you'll also see then that the average nightly rate also varies sort of along that demand of revenue. So it's quite high in the summer and then quite low in the winter. But the key metric to look at is the occupancy. So you can see that there's much less spread here. It sort of hovers around 80 to 85% occupancy. And that is the key. That is what you want to be getting. If we had kept our prices static at those summer rates, in the winter, our occupancy would have been really low. Likewise, if we had kept them at a lower winter rate, our occupancy in the summer would have been 100%, and that's leaving money on the table. The key for all rate pricing systems is to aim for that 85%. That's just on the edge of being slightly too expensive for some people, but really maximizing the return on most guests that are coming to stay. So I think it's worth reiterating about the type of people who are coming to stay in this property. These are not groups of 6 or 7 adults or a family that comes to stay in a traditional Airbnb or serviced apartment. These are often solo travelers at the very push. They're coming in twos. There are king size beds in all these rooms, but primarily it's one person that's coming to stay here. And because of that, it's often those corporate travelers who are always the best guests. They're here for work, they go out with their colleagues in the evening, and they just need somewhere to put their head down. Okay, so I've shown you all the revenues across the whole year. It adds up to 160K. What are the costs? Now, we all know that when these headline numbers are thrown out, people can ignore the costs, and often, they can be quite substantial. So full transparency, here we go. Let's get into it. So again, this is another absolutely beautiful spreadsheet I've created. Might start doing lessons on how to make things so beautiful as this, but straight away you can see top line revenue, 160K. The next line down is the big punch in the face for any business operating in the UK. That VAT bill of over £32,000, 20% just grabbed by HMRC. Thank you very much. What a boot in the balls that is. But what can we do? Now, the next biggest cost is that OTA commission. That's the commission that's payable to Booking.com, Airbnb if you're a professional host, and all the others. It's all around 15%. And again, an eye-watering figure of £24,000 over the year. But keep that in mind because I'm going to come back to that. That leaves us, before any running costs, of just over £104,000. For the cleaning and linen, now we're starting to get into the running costs. Now, these are directly applicable to how many stays you have. So if you have lots of short stays, the cleaning and linen changeover costs are going to go much higher. If you have longer stays, they're going to be much lower. Now, we had 643 changeovers in that year, and I think from memory the average length of stay was around 4.5 nights. Obviously we can't have half a night, but you get what I'm saying. This is an average. And a 25 quid per changeover for the linen and the clean, that works out at just over £16,000 for the year. We process all our guest payments directly from the guest, so there is a charge for that, and that comes in at £3,200, and that equals just shy of £85,000. Again, it's just chipping away. Onto the utilities now. Over the year, electricity is going to cost us about £4,800, gas about £2,000, broadband around £600 over the year. Mortgage is just coming in just shy of £7,000, and the rates which pay to the council is over £1,800. So our net profit before tax is just shy of £69,000. Now, what property strategy can deliver that return? I said to keep that OTA commission in mind because looking at these costs, there's not really much else you're going to trim here. You can't really do anything about the linen or the cleaning. You can't do anything about your utility costs. If the VAT payment went down a bit, that would be nice, but that's never going to happen. So the big thing, 25K on that OTA commission costs, we can make a dent in that. And to be honest, over the last year, we weren't paying as much attention to that as we should have been. However, this year, we definitely are. Now look at these numbers from May. So this is a breakdown from May 2024 of our source of our bookings. Now, first of all, you can already see on the top right that this month has delivered over £17,000, which already beat the best month from last year. But crucially, if you look at the chart on the left to see the source of the bookings, that big grey chunk is phone or email bookings that we've added manually. 30% of direct bookings, plus that little red sliver, is ones that have just come direct, landed in from our website. So it's over £7,000, almost as much as that big chunk from Booking.com. We can never escape those big booking sites, but we can take steps to wrestle back control. If you're interested in hearing more about that, click this video, by the way. Focusing on direct bookings is going to reduce that commission to the OTAs and add it straight to our bottom line. Now, I want to make it clear that the revenues that I've just shown you are not by accident. Please don't go and think that you can just get any old property with 7 bedrooms and that you're going to make those numbers. It's not going to happen. There are some key things that contributed to the success of this property. The first, without doubt, is that there's en-suites in every room. I touched on it previously, but this property was operating during COVID. Can you imagine whether it would have succeeded at all, whether anyone would have booked it if they had to share a bathroom back then? En-suites, without doubt, maximize the figure that you can get per night. The next thing that made this property so successful is the renovation. I mean, yeah, it looked good before, but look at it now. It looks incredible. No expense was spared. And actually in that spreadsheet, we had to close off quite a lot of availability to get in to actually get this work done. So those figures from the last year could have been even higher. If you want to get the top end nightly rates, you've got to offer a top end product, and that costs money. The next thing that contributed to this property's success was the location. It's in a really nice leafy street in Belfast, close to a bus route, close to the universities, close to the city centre. There's so many places that this property is near that it's in super high demand, and it is so affordable for these solo travelers. So absolutely, location is key. Now, for some other lessons and my key advice if you're thinking about doing this yourself. Number one, this is a lot of work. 7 rooms means 7 sets of guests staying every night. That means 7 guests who are asking you all the same questions about where's the property, how do you check in. There's a lot of admin involved. It is one house, so with so many different people in it, noise can travel and people can get a little bit frustrated, particularly if someone in the middle of the house on the first floor is making noise. It's going to affect people above and below. It's something to be mindful of. Please, if you're going to do it, make sure you soundproof it as much as possible. Storage is an absolute must. Again, with so many changeovers happening all the time, you're going to need somewhere to store all your clean linen, as well as all your dirty linen, and everything else that you need for the running of the property. Now, without that storage, where is it going to go? It is a lot of changeovers in this place. And the other thing to say is, even though this is an amazing property, we over-deliver with customer service, we over-deliver with our product. It's so affordable for everyone. It's actually our worst reviewed property in our entire portfolio. People with the lowest budgets sometimes have the highest expectations, but it's by far our highest earner, and we'll work on a daily basis to continue to offer amazing customer service to all those guests who want to come and stay in it. So leave me any questions in the comments. I've watched enough of these types of videos to know that I'm definitely going to get grief. I've missed out some random cost that everyone's going to pile in here and accuse me of doing on purpose. Honestly, I haven't. I've tried my best here to be as transparent as possible. Leave me a comment, leave me any questions, hit that button, and then hit that button. See you next time.